Okay, Kaalan.
Gusto ninyong malaman kung bakit walang humpay ang pagtaas ng presyo ng elektrisidad sa ating bansa. Makinig po tayo kay Jojo Bora at kay Camentong Laurel.
Okay. Kanina, i-finish yung dyaryo na dala ko. Kasi, itong laro nila sa kuryente, good cop, bad cop. Maraming ganyan laro sila. Actually, si Sergio Osmeña supported Noynoy in 2010 election. Pero ngayon, sinasabi niya, lousy managers don't deserve extra powers. Kinakalaban niya si, kunwari, si Noynoy on emergency power. But as Jojo says, in the end, all these players want emergency powers, for different reasons.
This the same reason, privatization.
Privatization ang dulo. For example, when we were off the air, we were discussing, Jojo was explaining, si Petilla wants to use the emergency power to lease power plants. Sabi niya, short-term daw.
For a need next year.
Bakit magli-lease ka lang for a short-term problem? Why is this not going to be a long-term problem? Why not set up the power plants government can run?
In the first place, how did it arise? Sabi nila sa EPIRA, this precisely to prevent this kind of situation.
14 years na yung EPIRA. Bakit may emergency pa?
Kumbaga, parang na-good time ang taong bayan.
Kailangan, kahit sa buhay natin, we have medical emergency and so on. That's why we have savings. Meron tayong savings tinatabi, insurance. Ang power industry, ang planning ng power, meron din laging surplus yan, capacity, for emergency, di ba?
Dapat may insurance.
At may insurance nga dapat.
Sa halip na may insurance, hindi, opposite.
Okay.
Tumaas ng tumaas, tapos tayo pa rin ang magbabayad, walang insurance company na magbabayad. Even the government, who should have made exerted efforts to cut down the price of electricity, to control production of power, has done the opposite.
Well,
or has done nothing.
Concerning the government's role nga, ang problema ang gobyerno natin, it's not performing as the Constitution provides, for the welfare of the people. So, panahon ni Ramos, panahon ni Cory, may power crisis. The Dark Ages nga tinawag. Panahon ni Ramos, may blackouts, kaya nga nagpirma ng independent power producer. Panahon ni Gloria Arroyo, may EPIRA na, pero nagkakaroon ng power crisis, kaya ilang power summit si Gloria Arroyo. Meeting.
Darker ages.
Darker ages. Dumating si Penoy, yung Mindanao Power Crisis, nag-summit din, nag-meeting.
Darkest age.
Wala pa rin. Kasi...
It is documented that the power crisis of Mindanao in 2012 was man-made. I will again debate with Sergio Osmeña and the people in the Department of Energy. It was man-made.
You're going to take the cudgels for Juan de la Cruz?
Yes, because I am from there and in Mindanao, and I see how they invented the power. My God, I'm saying these things, but I can prove it.
They invented the power emergency crisis.
Emergency crisis.
Yes.
So it's deliberate.
It was deliberately done because they want to complete the privatization of the entire country para wala na silang kompetensya sa gobyerno.
Deliberately done, consistent with the EPIRA law.
EPIRA law.
In other words, those who crafted the EPIRA law had an idea of this situation.
That's
Yes.
right.
Who crafted the EPIRA law? It was not the senators or congressmen.
Who?
They did not know anything about it.
Who?
It was Meralco.
And the people around him, the people in the business.
Let's expose some more names. Ang consultant ng mga Lopez, si Butch Abad, si Dina Abad.
Sino?
Butch Abad and Dina Abad. They were the ones who were doing the writing. Dina, asawa ni Butch Abad, na naging energy chair naman sa House, nagpapatintero din doon. Now, if you go back to 1998, 99, 2000, you will find the name of somebody advocating the EPIRA and the privatization. Marcos Rodlauer, R-O-D-L-A-U-E-R. He was the resident representative of the IMF in the Philippines. So, IMF, World Bank ang nasa likod, ADB, ng EPIRA. In 2001...
At hindi nababago yung EPIRA at ito nagpapabigat sa pasanin ng taong bayan.
That's right.
Yes.
In 2001, after EDSA 2, di may krisis. So, ang World Bank at ADB
May
nag-allocate
crisis na as designed.
as designed. No. Ang World Bank, tapusin ko lang ito, nagdanggal ng $300 million loan kay Gloria Arroyo. Ipasa mo ang EPIRA, itong loan, makukuha nyo. Kaya, utos ni Gloria, dahil boss yan noon ni Belmonte nagmudmud din ng tigkakalahating milyon, and I can say this on TV and in public, corrupt yan si Belmonte at siyang nangorap ng mga congressman noong 2001, nagbigay tigkakalahating milyon. The evidence we can present is Congressman Magtubo, party list congressman, who, upon receiving it, exposed it.
You made a very
Nasa
serious
dyaryo yan.
charge.
Yeah.
That's a very serious charge.
Yeah.
Can you prove that in court?
Charge me with libel. Tell Belmonte to charge me with libel.
You're willing
Di
to
ba?
go into public debate with Speaker Belmonte on this?
Si Belmonte ang umiiwas sa akin kung nagkakaharap
Are
kami.
you challenging him now?
I have challenged him for the past 10 years.
It is common knowledge that who was that congressman who returned from
Magtubo.
said, I voted no. But binigyan pa rin ako ng balato ng 500,000. That was all over
Sino
the
nagbigay
newspaper.
sa kanya?
Well,
He got it from the office of Belmonte.
Okay.
Pinapatawag
he
sila.
wanted to
There
return
is
it.
public statement to this effect.
It's in the newspapers. It's in the
How
newspapers.
come that tuwid na dandan has not
Because
investigated?
he and his family, lahat sila, part of the conspiracy to swindle the people consistently.
Magagalit taong bayan dyan.
Dapat. Yun ang hinahanap namin. Ang problema, ang utak nasa entertainment, sa skandalo, kung ano-ano. No. Focus on programs like this, di ba?
Attorney, the EPIRA was followed, they just followed the California deregulation law in the early 1990s.
Yung Enron, maalala nyo?
Exactly the same. Gaya-gaya, putumaya tayo. Okay. Now, so we copied it. But before we implement it, after we pass it into law in 2001, before we implemented it, the California deregulation law became what is commonly called now as the California deregulation disaster. That's why if you Google California deregulation disaster, it is exactly what happened
Yun yung EPIRA.
sa EPIRA.
Oh.
Pero ang nangyayari, tayo naman mga Pilipino, yung mga grupo ni Celso Peña, they learn on the mistakes of the California deregulation and implemented it correctly
With modification.
na
For their
sila ang
purpose.
kumita, ang mga tao ang naging
Pero,
There's something wrong here. The word deregulation. No? Para gamitin ito ng mga mambabatas sa batas, ay merong dapat maunawaan ng taong bayan dito. Kasi ang paggawa ng batas, that is the exercise of police power. Police power along with taxation, eminent domain. Police power is the most vast power of the government. And the keyword for police power, for the benefit of the people, is regulation. Eh, sinasabi nyo, deregulate,
Regulation.
that is the opposite of police power. In other words, the people of the Philippines have been victimized with police
Maybe.
power
You're the lawyer.
used by private interest.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I add?
Kasi in police power, public interest should prevail over private.
Yeah,
That is why privatization is anti-people.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to add sa history ng California deregulation. Ang kumpanya na gumawa nun, Enron. Yan nagresulta din ng napakataas ng...
Napakalaking skandalo.
napakaling skandalo. Nag-collapse ang finances ng California. So nagkaroon ng investigasyon, nagkakaso, kahit sinuportahan pa ni Bush, natuloy yung kaso, nakulong yung presidente, si Ken Lay. And eventually, he was found hanging in his cell sa prison. Either nagpakamatay or may pumatay sa kanya. Now, it is important to note that this was already exposed in the States as a failure bago sinimulan ang EPIRA. So, may plano yon kasama ang ilang mga American companies. One of them, Miran. Miran controlled 50% of the IPPs.
Alam ba ni Senator Serge Osmeña yan?
Alam niya yan.
Tapos kahit alam niya yan, pinipilit pa rin niya yung posisyon niya. Kaya mo siya hinahamon?
Yes.
Well,
Hindi maganda.
yung ating mga naghaharing uri naman, sabuatan sila eh. They are in conspiracy to swindle the people. Especially after 1986.
Kung baga sa rough estimate mo, Jojo, dahil dito sa IPIRA, magkano ang nadagdag na gastusin ng taong bayan? Yung kabuuan, para mas madaling matandaan.
Let's start with Meralco because Meralco is about 60% of the business of electricity. Ano kasing ginagawa? What is given to Meralco is given to the entire industry all over the country. Pag magdagdag ng piso dito, magdagdag ng piso din. Gaya-gaya ng lahat eh. It is Meralco with the muscles and the lobby. Mahilig yan sa ERC. Nakukuha lahat nila anong gusto nila.
Ibig sabihin, yung ERC hindi para sa taong bayan?
Yes, I can say that. But now,
ERC is Energy Regulatory Commission.
Yes, but there are now areas in the ERC that are beginning to think otherwise. Nagiging pro-people na sila. Okay, that's why we will encourage them. But where were we now?
You're talking about the new commissioners, no? May bago sa ERC.
Yes.
So magkano yung dagdag sa pahirap kay Juan de la Cruz?
Okay.
Sa kabuuan.
Okay.
You started with
Magkano
Meralco.
yan? Ano ba ng amount na yan? I estimate if ERC now, the new ERC will do their job, okay? Because it's all documented. The overstatement, all the overpricing by 500 to 942% of the assets that we are being bought by Meralco but charged to us. They overprice it by as much as 942%. Alam mo ba, ang negosyo ng kuryente is, bibili ka, pagkatapos, kapital mo daw, pero uutangin mo, and you are allowed to make 12%, now 18% over it. Imagine, if you buy an equipment for 37.5 million, but then you overprice it to an amount of 214.5 million for one equipment and pass it on to the consumer, he pays for 214 million, 18% of 214 million, instead of paying only 18% of 37.5 million.
And which government agency is supposed to correct that?
ERC.
Did they correct that?
They did not correct it. They were either
during
fooled.
whose time was this? Can you name names?
After EPIRA.
During the time of Albano, and now Ducot. They just continued it. Okay.
I think
Okay.
May I add,
Yes. Yung overpricing.
Jojo, I just want to respond to the question, magkano na ang nawala sa taong bayan? Number one, aside from the $18 billion na utang na hindi na wipe out after 14 years of privatization, no?
Of EPIRA.
The cost niyan sa atin. So that's roughly around 800 billion pesos, halos 1 trillion. Yung tubo pa ng mga kumpanyang yon na nag-privatize, no? Let's say, assume another 1 trillion. That's 2 trillion already na inilabas natin sa bulsa natin na walang bumalik. Puro doon. I'll give you an example. I mentioned Miran, the American company. In one Senate report, sometime in 2003, 2004, no? Ang Senado mismo ay nagsabi, one of the companies of Miran, ang kanyang net profit, was 92%. In other words, wala siyang ginastos, except taxes and so on. And he made everything. All the money that government paid to it was all pure profit. Dahil sa take or pay provision. Mirant is one of those companies who earned that much. So, trillions ang nawala sa taong bayan.
So, bukod dun sa trillions
Trillions ang nawala sa taong bayan.
na dapat hindi natin ginastos.
Dapat hindi natin
Kaya
ginastos.
talaga maghihirap ang taong bayan.
Kaya naghihirap.
Tapos, tapos na ba?
Hindi, tuloy
Tuloy-tuloy yun.
yan.
Tuloy.
Hanggang
So,
nandyan ang EPIRA at ang privatization nandyan.
Naku, mga
At gusto
kababayan,
nga,
napakahirap
gusto pa
pala ng
nga,
sitwasyon.
I'm telling you, attorney, that if ERC will be true to its word, they're saying that Meralco must refund from 2007 up to 2014 ongoing. Pag i-refund niya amount na yan, the
How
people
much?
who will
How much?
the people will end up owning Meralco.
Oo.
It's that amount.
Eh, ang alam ko, binili na ni President Marcos yung Meralco noon eh. Sa
Ah,
gamit
yes,
ng taong
yes.
bayan,
Oo, oo.
pera ng taong bayan.
Di ba? Oo.
Sinoli lang ni
Cory.
President
Ni Cory.
yan eh.
Now, another way to highlight yung lugi ng taong bayan, kung sa planta nila Jojo Borja sa Iligan noon, ang kuryente nyo, let's say, before this latest, 5 pesos per kilowatt
Yes,
hour.
up to 2013, May of 2013.
5 pesos per
was
kilowatt.
5 pesos.
Ang customer base nila, 60,000 customers lang. Eh, ang Meralco, halos 6 million ang customers.
Yes.
11 pesos per kilowatt hour. Eh,
What was the difference of the cost in producing a kilowatt hour in Luzon, in Meralco, and a kilowatt hour in Mindanao? Okay. The difference was only 2 pesos and 50 centavos. Yung pato na 250 na dapat 22 centavos lang. Okay? Mindanao should have been 3 pesos, like Vietnam, per kilowatt hour. Pinatukan, dinagdagan ng 250, naging 550. Okay. Luzon, the difference between Mindanao and Luzon in the cost of
Generation.
electricity is the generation, the GENCO cost, yung power cost, yung
Generation charge.
Generation cost is 5 pesos per kilowatt hour. Okay, kasi diesel eh. Dapat sa Mindanao, 22 centavos lang, pero pinatukan ng 250 na 250. So the difference now is 250. Okay. The difference between Meralco and Iligan Light should have been only 2 pesos and 50 centavos. If Iligan Light was 5 pesos in 2013, Meralco should be only 750. But they were charging 11 pesos per kilowatt hour.
Up to now?
Up
At
to
the
now.
time.
Hindi, even up to now, 11 more or less.
Maybe,
Up to 13 pesos. Nagpa-fluctuate yan.
fluctuates.
Pero sa Mindanao, is only
now,
Depende sa city.
mahal na ngayon.
Magkano
Kasi
na
pinataas na. Illegal city is almost 10 pesos. They did something to it.
mas
They-
mababa pa rin kaysa Maynila.
No,
yeah,
mas
but,
mababa.
but that 10 pesos is...
May connection ba yung Bangsamoro Law dun sa privatization ng power plant sa Mindanao?
wala.
Ang the only relevant provision doon sa Bangsamoro Basic Law is that Bangsamoro will have their own power system, free of this.
Medyo magulo yan.
Magulo yan.
But we're on the closing side.
Yeah, I know.
Let's not go to that first. Let's go back to 2013 when Iligan was 5 pesos per kilowatt hour, including generation, transmission, and distribution. Okay. The economies of scale, like for example, Manila, Meralco should have been less than
Lower.
5 pesos.
Should be lower.
Dagdagan mo lang yung Manila ng 250, 750, okay, without even mentioning the economies of scale. So it should be about 6 pesos, Manila. But they were selling at 11 to 12 pesos. So there is a difference. That is the question I asked Osmeña. Bakit dito sa Mindanao ay 5 pesos? Bakit yan sa Meralco ay 11, 12 pesos?
Sige.
Ano ba? Ang diferensya nila, ang cost of production ng 250 lang. Why? Explain. They cannot answer. There are questions we ask Osmeña that he cannot answer.
Kamentong,
Yeah.
parting shot.
Well, salamat kay Kaalan. This is a crucial week kasi itong emergency power nga and you gave the time for us to explain this. No? So, we just have to keep on fighting.
Yeah, let's be very careful about these emergency powers because they might just order the sale of the power plants in Mindanao plus the 2,700 megawatts is still available hydropower that can be produced in Mindanao. they are keeping that for themselves. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Jojo, Kamentong. Alam na po
Time.
natin kung anong hamon ni Jojo Bora kay Senator Serge Susmeña. Public debate daw po kayo dito sa kuryente. Kamentong, hinahamon si Speaker Belmonte. Willing po tayo mag-host niyan dito. Kaya lang 1 oras lang, ha, tsaka walang pikunan.
Oh.
Hanggang sa muli po, ito po ang inyong abang lingkod, nagsasabing, gumising ka, bayan.